Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama. Welcome to the first episode of our Teen Titans themed Spotlight series for Superhero Month.
For those who don't know, Teen Titans is an animated series based off the superhero team of the original comics by DC Comics. The show ran from 2003 to 2006 with 5 seasons with 13 episodes each, a TV movie, a spin-off series, and a theatrical movie based off the spin-off series.
Mm-hmm. Now this incarnation of the team includes Robin, Dick Grayson, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, Garfield Logan, and Cyborg Victor Stone as they battle crime in Jump City and have the usual superhero teen life on the side. Each season focuses on a different Titan, and season 1 focuses on my favorite, Dick Grayson Robin!
Now, it first starts off with the Divide and Conquer episode, which I know one person has said that was kind of a strange one to start out with because due to something that happened in a battle and Cyborg and Robin ended up, falling over each other, they kind of got into this big fight and Cyborg quits the team and said, you shouldn't have started like that because you don't know who these people are, and how is one of them leaving going to affect you because you don't know who he is? Like, wait, is he important?
And every time we would go over episodes and I say, okay, Divide and Conquer, you said that's episode 1. I'm like, no, it can't be. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. But it doesn't make sense. And finally, I got it. Yes, it's the first episode.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. We don't know them. How is this important? I guess, later on in the episode, it shows how he's important.
Right.
Because there's also this theme in the show that every time they fight a villain and one of them is missing from the team, they can't take down the villain.
Yeah, but my favorite, I know it shouldn't be, my favorite part of this episode is when we start talking about each other and how he describes Robin.
Oh, yeah. You got a problem with me, Tin Man? And Cyborg says, yeah, it's 4 feet tall, smells like cheap hair gel.
That's one of the best lines ever. So, let's talk. We know it focuses on Robin. Tell us the arc for the season.
Okay, so this is the season where they officially introduce Slade into the third episode, where they introduce three characters from the Hive's Academy. Mm-hmm. And at first, you couldn't see who was Slade, so that was the question when you saw the end of the episode. Who was the Slade guy? If you are a fan of DC Comics and know the villains inside and out, you will know that Slade is just pretty much Slade Wilson, who, aka Deathstroke, who is pretty much the main antagonist of the season and almost the entire series.
Right, definitely.
And at first it's just figuring out who he is at the same time of battling bad guys every episode and also having some pretty fun ones when they have their relaxing episodes.
Right. Now this season there were a few really fun episodes, but as you said, when you got the ones with Slade, they were equally as serious and dark as the fun ones were fun.
Right.
So you really got to get a feel for what this entire series was about. With these 13 episodes, they were perfect at introducing you to not only Robin, but also to each character and how they fit in the team and work as a team.
Right. And also want to point out for the episodes, when you first watch, you'll notice that sometimes the show switches from English and Japanese intro. Well, it turns out if you go to an Easter egg for season 3, it's revealed that it's supposed to tell you what the episode's going to be, what type of episode it's going to be. If it's in English, that means it's going to be a serious episode.
Right.
But when it's in Japanese, it's going to be silly. And excluding Nevermore, that is the case every time. Since the Japan usually has a lot of silly stuff on it, it fits.
Okay, so since Nevermore is like the one episode that doesn't fit the pattern with the music, tell us a little about Nevermore and what made it possibly such a different episode that they chose not to follow that pattern.
Okay, well this one was the first one to kind of be a mix between the action and comedy, because it's kind of serious when it starts out because Raven starts to act really aggressive and they can't figure out why, and Beast Boy thinks something with her and he says, let's leave her alone, it's her business. And he goes into her room and looks in her mirror trying to pop a zit or something and he says, this one help me with popping nasty zits in her mirror. And they go into this world. It wouldn't be a parallel world, it's just this weird creepy world, and they were thinking it was Raven's home.
Right.
And they meet this really cheerful version of Raven. She's wearing pink and she's really happy and giggly. And then they get to another point where they meet another one who's dressed in gray, and she's kind of like sad and depressed. Then there'd be another one who's dressed in green, and she sounds like Ben 10.
So it's like Wanda over yonder.
Yeah.
And he goes into the cave, and you see all the different parts of
right.
him, but just not as many.
Right. And then she's brave, and she kicks butt, and they were supposed to be all reflections of her. And what she was trying to do was to meditate and keep whatever bad part of her that was trying to come out, because for some reason it was just like angrily trying to get out.
I think dark is more.
Yeah, you're dark. Yeah, it's a more dark version of her.
Right.
And that was pretty much the whole episode. And it was part comedy because of Beast Boy and Cyborg. The lines they were given, they're reacting to all these versions of Raven, especially dealing with the happy Raven. And you also found out a lot about her that she never told.
Right.
Through them, like she actually thinks Beast Boy is funny, despite her like these smart aleck remarks when he says a joke that whether or not it's funny, and the stuff she says back is like hilarious. And then with Raven, when she really thinks about these people and she's really sorry about things, and then how tough she can be with the brave one, and it showed a lot about her.
Right, definitely. And this was episode 6, so it was put right in the middle of the season.
Right.
And it was even though it broke pattern, it was a nice backstory for Raven, knowing about her, just knowing about Raven, a lot of things that you said that we didn't know. So it was a nice change from what normally happened.
Right.
Also, another episode that I think gave a lot of backstory was Sisters.
Yeah, with Starfire's sister, Blackfire.
Yeah.
And voiced by the same exact person, which is hilarious.
Yes, and that was episode 2.
Right. So it kind of gives to that trope of the cooler, older sibling and feeling like, she's being replaced. So that kind of trope, which was kind of sort of subverted, but you kind of got the idea of what they were going for. And it turned out Blackfire was on the run from these pink octopus-like creatures. You would think they were bad, they were after her. And it turned out she actually had stolen something from some moon, and some intergalactic police force was after her, and she was going to pin on her own sister so she could get off scot-free.
Right. So you found out Starfire's backstory, and the sister she loves, but the sister that pretty much just has manipulated her in her entire life.
Right.
And just getting to Earth was a good way for her to get away from her and just show whom she is,
right,
and be her own person. So that was a great episode in showing some backstory. And then there was Car Trouble that gave us a little backstory and gave some time to Cyborg.
Right. When he was building his own car that was made from the same mechanics as him.
Right.
And he was upset, like, don't do this, don't do that, don't mess up the paint job. And like, keep that car clean. I know where you're coming from. You don't want nobody to damage your vehicle.
That's right.
And then someone steals it on top of it, puts all his locks and stuff on it, and somehow they disabled everything and still stole it. It's like, what's the point of this stuff?
It's like, my baby.
Oh, my car.
Now, which episode gave a spotlight on Beast Boy for that season?
Actually, it was kind of a mix between him and Aqualad. It was Deep Six.
Oh, that was a great episode.
Where they met Aqualad, who's voiced by Will Wheaton in this version. And
he's also Michael Morningstar in Ben 10.
Right. And they kind of go up. They go underwater because there's this new villain named Trident, who is one of the most narcissistic villains I've ever seen.
Right.
And they meet Aqualad, who has control over the aquatic animals,
and then Starfire. Don't forget Starfire and Raven fangirling over him.
Yeah, because in the background, you can see them. They're in the background, and they're always like, over him, and they got hearts. Every time he's on the screen, they would show him in a corner, some gaga over, and it was like, what are you doing? It was nice to meet you. We'll miss you. It was nice to meet you. Oh, yes, very, very, very much. Just like, oh, my God. And Beast Boy was getting jealous because, when it came to the water, he kind of was in control a little bit because of his skills. He could turn into any, sea animal.
Right.
And Aqua could also communicate with him through telepathy, which they made fun of. It's called telepathy. And since he could actually, have more animals at his side and not just one, it kind of felt like, Beast kind of felt like, is he trying to be better than him?
Right.
Like it was competition.
And he saw a competition that didn't even exist because Aqualad was this real cool character who really just wanted to help.
Right. And since it was going to bother Atlantis and this ocean was going to eventually affect the surface world as well, so that's why they ended up having to join forces.
And he learned more about teamwork. You learned, as you say, about his what he was self-conscious about, and you got to see him learn, don't judge people as soon as you meet them. Don't be so self-conscious that you think less of yourself, and find ways to work with them. So it was a great episode for Beast Boy.
Right.
Because we learned more about him.
We
learned about Aqualad. It was fun.
Right.
And you got to see him grow.
He even had a one-line episode where Aqua says, I work alone. He said, I usually work alone. He said, Beast Boy, he said, yeah, me too. He said, you do not. You're part of a team. He said, you trying to go with Trey on the fish point. What's your point?
So those were great too.
And we also had a lot of new villains. Of course, Slade, who became a really big point at the end of the season. We also had Mad Mod, the Puppet King, Mumbo Jumbo, voiced by Tom Kenny.
And I was going to ask what's your favorite, but never mind. It's Tom Kenny, so now I know whom your favorite villain was that season. So let's talk a little about, as you said, the last two episodes, Apprentice Part 1 and Part 2.
Yes.
They got pretty dark. And this gave us a lot of backstory on Robin. Now, for those of us who love Batman and Robin anyway and Dick Grayson, we know the different incarnations that have been in different comic books. And this one gives us a different one as well. He has more of a darker, more serious personality in this series than he did in some other incarnations.
Right.
So tell us about The Apprentice 1 and 2.
Okay, so after he finally figures out who Slade is, and once he thought he was like under the radar, and Slade still figured out who it was, and he was behind it, he pretty much gave him this ultimatum. He wanted an apprentice to work for him to carry out his work. And Robin was the perfect choice for him because of his skills and his intelligence and his athleticism.
And hair gel.
And and at first Robin wasn't going to do it, and then he kind of like blackmailed him because he had inserted all these little microbots into each of his teammates when they thought he was going to stop time permanently. The blast from the machine hit each of them. They got all these microbots in them in their bloodstream. And he said if he didn't work for them, he would push the button, and only would it corrupt their bloodstream, it could just like stop the hearts and just kill them on the spot.
So if you thought that Slade was not a serious villain because you saw, like you said, Mad Mod, Mambo Jumbo, and these other characters, you learned Slade was the real deal. Slade was serious. And if you remember during our top villain podcast, this is why Slade made that list.
Right. Because just in that short amount of time of 13 episodes and one season, he proved how deadly he could be to not just Robin, but just to the tie-ins into just pretty much anybody. Because I know he's different in every incarnation they do with this character, like with Justice League or Young Justice or the movies. But in this one, he's usually a threat to just the adults or the adult heroes. He was a threat to teenagers. He was a threat to everybody, and he has set aside, and his enemies are just a bunch of teenagers, but both of them could put up a fight. It wasn't taken as a joke or anything.
Right.
And Robin couldn't tell them anything because he pretty much had to stay silent the whole time. He had to fight his own teammates, or else he would kill them. He had no other choice but to do what he said. And eventually, they figured out, like, did he turn on us? Like, he couldn't have done this. And it became this back and forth thing. Like, did he turn evil, or is there something else behind it?
Right.
And they really didn't want to hurt him because he's been their leader for so long and their friend. And it became this really intense two-parter finale.
Right. Now, let's tell them about some of the awesome special features that are included with this 2-disc DVD.
Yes.
Which we own all of them. We own all of them, everything.
If you go to Amazon and you want to purchase a DVD, season 1 includes a behind the scenes called Finding Their Voices, which shows how they created the show, and the voice actors, a little bit one-on-one interviews with them, like Greg Sykes for Beast Boy, Scott Manville for Robin, Hayden Walsh, who unfortunately wasn't interviewed, but she is the voice of Starfire, Tara Strong for Raven, and Carrie Payton for Cyborg.
Right. Then
they also have a Toontopia bonus cartoons called The Heroes, episodes 1 and 2, which I guess was supposed to be pilots for an upcoming series, but it never happened. I guess maybe they just didn't do well.
Right.
And then comic creations, from comic book to cartoon, how they adapted the comic book to an animated show, what they put in and left out, and what changes they made to where audiences would enjoy it. The Puffy Yumi featurette, which shows them singing the theme song, and they talk about how they came up with it, and they kind of ask questions to them, and ask like the Teen Titans are asking them questions. And then there's a music video which shows them either singing the theme song or a whole new song. And then a sneak peek at their TV show, Hi Puffy Yumi Show.
Yes.
Which shows, I guess, like either a 5-minute or a full episode.
Now just remember, this is before Blu-ray became huge and you have to buy a Blu-ray disc to get all the special features. Each of these discs comes with all these amazing special features, and they cost around $10.
Right.
So you can get the entire series plus the movie for around $60, unless there's some special now they have where, you get the whole complete series.
Right, probably.
But this was just awesome back when these discs came out. You got to see all these extras and things that you really wanted to know about. And as you mentioned, Easter eggs are also included, all for one low price. So if you haven't seen season 1 or you don't own season 1, now's the time to learn about Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans, and what made this series so great, being a groundbreaking series with groundbreaking comic book characters.
Yeah. Well, okay, till the next season, I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
Teen Titans.
Flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. There in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.